Good evening, one and all, from where you are watching all over the world. This, of course, is the Screen to Speed International Women's Day race. Of course, based, and this is going to be run in one of the most scenic locations in US motorsports. Of course, in the hills of Avondale, Maricopa County, Arizona, at Phoenix Raceway, the 1 mile low bank tri-oval. Of course, home to many things, including, over the years, open wheel, IMSA for a period of time, and of course NASCAR, where we're going to see NASCAR's going around, and especially the Championship 4 of the NASCAR playoffs, the final race traditionally of the last number of seasons. I'm your commentator, Jamie Jessica Martin, and I'm going to be joined in the booth by Ash Vanderlei. Ash, I am really excited to have you join here. Of course, NASCAR extraordinaire, knows far more about motorsports at times, especially about NASCAR than I. So having input is going to be fantastic. So
I'm excited to be sharing the commentary booth with you, Jamie, and to do, Screen to Speed on International Women's Day. Let's go women, right, in the chat? I see you guys in there. Nice to see everyone. Thank you for joining us. Depending where you are in the world, I'm sure it's either the evening or the morning or the afternoon. So we greatly appreciate you tuning in.
Well, no, of course. Of course, for Screen to Speed, it's been just over a year since, of course, Screen to Speed got its first major event. Of course, we had the race in Las Vegas, where a large number, about 20 drivers, 15 qualifiers, and 5 that were invitees, got to go to the Las Vegas Motor Speedway and race in 2 heat races and 1 final to crown a Screen to Speed champion. And of course, Screen to Speed champion, who is someone that is going to be racing tonight, Saoirse Fitzpatrick. So there is, of course, a pedigree off the back of that. I know you were originally supposed to go, but of course, other commitments to that way.
Also, the drivers that were, there. I was feeling the pressure, so I can imagine. You mentioned Saoirse is here tonight, going to be racing here with Phoenix with everyone. So I can imagine the pressure of everyone else. You have a winner, you have someone who raced IRL, got to try the car at the track. So it's very, very cool that she's back and representing.
No, of course. Prismatic Motorsports absolutely not biased at all with her driving for us, but no, ultimately she was the winner in Vegas. Summer Cup, she was in a really close freeway battle for the championship. In the last couple of series, in terms of the Fall Cup and the Winter Cup, wasn't able to attend just for personal schedule reasons, but she is incredibly fast no matter what platform she go in, and she's taken a lot from the win and the successes and the experiences that she had. Of course, one joke made in the documentary was, her practice, the running laps in the Porsche Cup car around around Las Vegas, around the road course. was her first time ever driving a car. And
Right. I was gonna say you were telling us before the broadcast the story of we'll show later in the broadcast like a beautiful just like cut and edit of Screen to Speed and the initiative, and of course her trying the car and being there with Sabre Cook. So I think it's funny that you mentioned when she stepped out of the car and like she's quoted that that was her first time driving a car. It was through a racetrack in a Porsche, and I thought that was so cool.
it's honestly fantastic. Well, of course, we can make that cut now. But with this event, in terms of the event format, of course, track is Phoenix Raceway, jewel of Maricopa County, absolutely legendary circuit. You know, the tri-oval track with, of course, a dogleg configuration. We're going to be using the next gen Cup Series cars, of course, mandated from from last year. Of course, they came up through a brand new design structure, which focused quite heavily on aerodynamics and trying to make the cars more uniform, getting rid of the old kind of changes to bodywork to try and twist the car in aerodynamic ways, which used to exist. Obviously, most often predominantly made from the Twisted Sister. Of course, with this as well, you've got your Ford, Toyota, your Ford Mustang, your Toyota Camry, and of course your Chevrolet Camaro ZR1. ZL1, pardon me. Of course, the qualification is going to be fastest first, 4 solo laps, so 4 attempts to set your fastest lap. Fastest lap will be where you start on the grid behind the pace car, and of course, the race is going to be a standard 200 lap race.
We were talking a little bit earlier. We were, you have to ask, chat. What do we think? How many yellow flags might we see in this race? It is full length. It is 200 laps, so 200 miles, because Phoenix is a 1 mile track. And we're here for a long time and a good time with this race to see some really cool talent and to see these women kick butt.
Well, no, honestly, some of these drivers are absolutely rapid. And, you know, I've watched a bunch of these drivers from my commentary over at Screen Speed for quite a long time. And we're going to see a ton of, I think one that I probably want to bring up, probably one of the favorites for tonight, is probably the number 83, Emily Howe, who actually finished second in Las Vegas. We'll see if we can get a hero card, as we're calling them, up for her in a moment. But yeah, of course, Emily Howe as a driver is incredibly fast. She's been on the service since she was incredibly young. Incredibly knowledgeable, probably one of the most knowledgeable people on the service when it comes to the way that the aero models work, and she just knows how to make oval cars just work so much better. Of course, she was incredibly fast. She won the Summer Cup not long after, of course, full cup, and she did win the Holiday Invitational, of course, beating Love 46 over a two race performance there at Spa-Francorchamps in GT3s. She is just absolutely rapid, and ultimately she is absolutely a favourite to potentially win here at Phoenix tonight.
I mean, look at that consistency throughout all the cups. I mean, she was scoring first, second. I mean, I saw 1-6, but I mean, that's pretty good considering the talent that we have on this field. And consistency, as they say in sports, wins championships. So I'm super excited to see what we get to get Phoenix.
Of course, well, other than that, I guess we'll talk a little bit, or we'll show you a little bit about one of the initiatives that was going on, which Screen Speed managed to inspire and ultimately has done a massive amount for women in motorsports and women in sim racing. Of course, an event we call Sim for STEM. that, of course, was Sim for STEM, and a little bit of feature of the Las Vegas event, and some of the story that was told in the months afterwards, of course, in relation to Sish Fitzpatrick and the winner. But I guess in terms of Sim for STEM, it was really important because it allowed, and I know that was a vision of the CEO of Inner Esports, Steffi Bao, who wanted to try and get as many young women into sim racing and into motorsports, really build up a STEM love, and use
Mhm.
so many great people over multiple different regions to try and inspire people. And I know they did a project, of course, in the United States and also in the Republic of Ireland as well, which was really popular and very successful.
I mean, we talk about, having women on the track and in sim racing to show that representation, because if you can see her, you can be her, right? And I mean, and also just going to the community and going to, the youngins and inspiring them straight on with STEM, teaching them about racing, inspiring them from the get go, getting them to be motorsport fans, sim racing fans. I think this is just so important. And it's so much more impactful. I mean, going to the community and just bringing them content that they can understand. Because sometimes watching on TV, you might be missing context. Some things might get complicated and you have no one to ask. But once you're there with someone to explain this to you, to go through the racing line, as I saw this, I thought that was really cool. It's so much more fun to just educate in that aspect.
Well, I mean, of course. I mean, you look at the, whether it's from driving to being part of the support structure of a motorsports team from
Mhm.
all over the place. So many figures have popped up. I mean, you talk from kind of leadership in terms of Susie Wolf in Formula One and F1 Academy. You talk about F1 Academy in terms of drivers. Talk about notable people in the sports, from commentators, and also in the case of strategists like Hannah Schmitz. So you've got stuff along those lines. But anyway, we've got the formation lap coming up.
We were talking a little bit amongst ourselves during the video, and chat says anything under 10 laps. Someone mentioned 5 cautions. Someone mentioned probably 3. But some of us here in production are going double digits for the caution flag. So um, everyone remember your numbers. We'll talk about it after. But excited to see
Uh,
the representation here. And look at these paint schemes. I almost called them liveries, but look at these paint schemes on these next gens.
I'm not totally biased by the fact that I designed 2 of them, but
I'd be totally biased. They look incredible. What are you talking about?
yeah, I'll take it.
I'll
Well,
be biased for you.
of course, the pace car is coming out, and it's Emily Howe that's going to be leading the way, and we're going to get going here, of course, around this legendary Phoenix Raceway as we come up to the line. And it is go, go, go. And it is Emily Howe leading the way, of course, with Athena Leclerc having a really good run in the 61. Of course, as they head round this track for the very first time, Nina Hahn doing really well at the moment, the number 21, with the number 66 of Callie Height making room, as well as Garnet Adams battling away with Christina Ryan, the number 80 and the number 22 in P5 and P6.
For a moment there, I thought Emily Howe got away from everyone, but no, Athena, Nina, and Callie are right there behind, putting that pressure on straight from the get-go, which I appreciate, not letting her get away too far.
Well, this is it. Ultimately, the thing with Emily is she's very difficult to deal with, just purely because when she's ahead of you, she has a habit of just controlling and maintaining her pace. But when she's behind you, she applies so much pressure that you are in such a position where you have to keep your head, and any form of moment where you kind of look back or you give yourself a second thought, you just take yourself out of the line, and Emily bites and gets you at that point. So, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see what Athena can do. I mean, these two have raced a bunch of times before, of course. Emily Howe running for the Winstone Machinists Union, and Athena Leclerc running for, of course, the St. Clair iRacing Academy team, of course, of St. Clair University in Canada.
Yeah, so Emily here, making sure she stays very consistent laps. Again, consistency wins championships here, and you want to make sure you don't feel that pressure from Athena right behind. I'm sure she's filling up that rear view mirror, but Emily's right, not making any mistakes, keeping it clean and just running her race and not driving like she's looking in the rearview mirror there, because I can imagine I think he's going to be putting on the pressure very, very shortly, catching that draft.
No, of course. I mean, she is going to try and do so, but I know that she's going to be in a moment of focus. She's going to want to just maintain her lines and just keep things clear, but she's not going to allow she's ultimately not going to try and allow Athena to get in her head, which I know is very hard to do.
I mean, looking through the grid here as we're underway, Christina Ryan gained 2 positions from qualifying. Callie, unfortunately, lost 1. Saoirse gained a position. Granite Adams lost 2. And I believe some other losses include, Carrie Anderson there, only 1 position, and luckily, hopefully able to get it back within the next 194 laps.
Well, of course. I mean, Christina Ryan. If you're talking about experience, she's another long-term oval racer. Been on the service for a good couple of years. Of course, notable. She was incredibly successful and finished P4, of course, in Screen to Speed in the Las Vegas final last year. So 4th overall. Of course, on top of that, alongside Athena Leclerc, she was the first, one of the joint first 2 women to ever compete in a NASCAR-sanctioned event. Of course, the 2022 eNASCAR College Series specifically. So it was awesome to see that. So it's awesome to see both of them on the same track once again. And I know how fast she is. She runs oval pretty regularly. So it'll be interesting to see what impact Christina Ryan could potentially add to this race.
Yeah, and I got a shout out to Athena looking at her fave moment that she submitted to us, going to the first NASCAR race at Bristol in 2017 and watching her fave Kyle Busch win. Always love to see when a driver you support wins to a race you attend, so that must have been a heck of a good time.
Well, I mean, to be honest with you, I got my experience of my first race in a NASCAR event last year at, of course, at the legendary Coke 600 in Charlotte, and I will say that was absolutely incredible. It was Ryan Blaney ended up winning that. Maybe not my driver, but that I wanted to win. But I mean, at the end of the day, I think my driver Tyler Reddick actually did a pretty decent job and a pretty good finish alongside Bubba Wallace. So, I mean, I had no complaints. It was kind of a bit of a surreal experience.
Looking at the screen, Annalise Riot, she says that her achievement, she's still looking for a podium win in her years of competing in sim racing. So hopefully tonight, the year is young. It is only March 8th here on International Women's Day, but she is setting herself up potentially for a pass ultimately.
I think it's absolutely possible. I mean, Annalise Riot is a driver that has raced on multiple different platforms, from iRacing. She also did compete in the Gran Turismo 7 series that Screen to Speed has done. So we know that she's definitely, she's quite well-rounded. And she definitely has a lot of dedication to the cause. So it'll be interesting to see what inroads she can make over the rest of the race. 14th, not too bad at the moment. But so far, I mean, keeping a look at the front at the moment, it really is Athena Leclerc in the 61 that's just trying to keep the gap down. And I think Emily's just not going to try and push this car, too much. She knows that over a 200 lap race, she needs to kind of keep and take care of the tires, not scrub the tires too much, because especially later on in stints, especially if she decides to to take 2 or 4 tires, she ultimately doesn't want to be in a position where she's going to be compromised later on in the race.
Absolutely. Emily currently has the best lap time, 27.212, but Athena not too far behind. Currently 4/10 of a second, if not occasionally 3/10 of a second. So keeping her within that eyesight. I do say NASCAR races, and some folks who do watch alongs with me. Sorry, I say watch twice, to tongue twister. Who watch NASCAR races with me? I usually say it's a race of attrition. It's interesting when folks are like, "Hey, who do you think is going to win?" And you never know what's going to happen. Honestly, some folks are stronger at certain other tracks, but ultimately you never know what's going to happen, especially if they start lapping some back markers and some additional cars. So I think we're in for a fun race. We're only lap 14 at a 200 here at Phoenix Raceway.
Of course, we're on board at the moment with Callie Height at the moment, watching how she's progressing at the moment in P5. I mean, of course, her experience speaks for itself. She, of course, a bit of a bump there for Garnet Adams in the background. Don't scratch my paint scheme, please. But no, getting back to the point, Callie Hyatt, of course, is another Screen to Speed finalist at Las Vegas last year. Won one of the heat races as well, which was a massive success for the British driver, and of course has been someone that's been around Screen to Speed, got a race win in the Winter Cup on iRacing this year at I think it was not Lime Rock, it was Summit Point. So definitely has had some success in the Screen to Speed before, and she is fast. I will say very aggressive, but she is very fast. And I think that would be the question: is how aggressive do you want to be here? Because you've got 200 laps here, and you don't want to burn up these tires. Because if you're not careful, you're going to get absolutely swamped by the rest of the field behind you.
Yeah, when do you want to make your moves is highly important, especially here at Phoenix. Luckily, hopefully the track temperature not looking too hot, as the sun is not at high noon here looking for our drivers. But I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Emily might be catching up to some. Oh, I believe 2 drivers have been lapped currently, or being lapped.
Yeah, it doesn't
So
actually
it's only a matter of
surprise
time
me.
till Emily does +1, seeing how speedy she is again with the fastest time. And now Athena is over a second behind here, as we're crossing in to still the beginnings of the race at lap 18.
Yeah, she's starting to stretch her legs. You're starting to see the effect of not only Emily stretching her legs, really kind of making the right decisions about rubbering in the tires and avoiding trying to really overdo it. But you also got the fact that in this situation, I think it's ultimately you're just benefiting from this. You want to give yourself enough gap and to really put yourself in a positive position. You're also going to lose some of the toe here as well, Athena. So because of this, you are going to see that gap start to kind of decrease. But if an issue happens, if a yellow flag comes out, if of course pit strategy comes into play a bit later on, that could of course all change depending on how things go. Of course, we're on board with Yvonne van der Berg, or in this case Yvonne Hoefelaar. Of course, one of the essentially one of the organisers of the Screen to Speed events, has been a massive part in organising events just like this one. And ultimately, you can't have had the success that we've had with Screen Speed without her. I mean, her greatest achievement, she has a few championship titles in go-karting and esports. Her greatest achievement now is giving all female-identifying people a chance to compete in the Screen Speed series, to win prizes and to scout for new talent. And I know she said it doesn't necessarily show in the crib sheet I've given, but I know she said that due to poor health, whereas previously she managed to get seats with with Team Brett in the UK, where she was able to race using hand paddles. She struggles a lot more now, so her goal has very much been focused on Screen Speed and giving opportunities to female identifying people in sim racing and in motorsports, and that's pretty awesome.
I mean, a big thing about sim racing, which we hear a lot recently, I mean, of course, through the pandemic when we were all stuck inside and having to find hobbies, and I mean, a lot of us connected through sim racing. And think about any other sport, you're not going to play FIFA and then suddenly go into the actual World Cup. It's a little bit different here for sim racing, where we have actual NASCAR drivers and their stories of them moving from sim racing to NASCAR. And I mean, winning, I mean, Raja Karuth recently, a huge, great example of it. Starting his career and really emphasizing the sim racing. I mean, he streams on Twitch when he has a free moment, if he has a free moment in his life, about through sim racing and iRacing. So it's very cool to see the talent that might come up in the next couple of years, and from sim racing, because it's a lot more accessible, let's be honest here, and then potentially renting a go-kart or buying a go-kart, getting maybe an MX-5, getting a track car, etc., and all the costs associated with it. But luckily, if you're able to save up or find some used sim racing gear, even a controller to start and see if you even like it, it means a lot to gap that bridge into sim racing to IRL racing.
Well, maybe a place to make a very smooth segue here. Ultimately, yeah, you are right about sim racing and being so accessible. It really is. And I whenever I discuss this with people as a team owner and company owner for a sim racing team, I do sit there and when I explain this to people, I say, well, other esports, there's no such thing as profession as real life FPS, like first person shooters. There's
Right.
no equivalent. There's no equivalent. But sim racing is unique because it is as accurate as you can physically get to the real thing. It's such a unique niche that actually is so positive and vital to helping grow. And I mean, we've seen many success stories over sim racing drivers going and getting opportunities in real life race cars, but also, of course, like Sish Fitzpatrick getting a test drive of the Porsche Cup car
Right.
around Las Vegas, of course.
The reason we're all
As
here. It's great
Yeah,
speed.
reason why we're all here, but also mentioned Sim4Stem, of course. Not here tonight, but Victoria Mello, who was a part of the Sim4Stem program, was one of the winners and has gone from Sim4Stem screen to speed, and is going through this kind of platform from kind of learning and having no experience and exposure to motorsports and the STEM field around motorsports, to suddenly getting really involved, being pretty decent at it, and then going to sim racing, competing in sim racing, and then potentially using that platform to go further and maybe grow a career in motorsports herself. And that's an awesome thing to see. So that's ultimately something that sim racing is so good at doing.
Ultimately, here we also have a really great battle happening up and down the grid, which is kind of fun. We love watching NASCAR and watching the sim racing above it. Currently, Christina Ryan, 3/10 away from that P3, that podium spot that you kind of want at the end of these 200 laps from Nina Heim here. And then following through down, we also have battles between Garnett Adams and Carrie Height and Saoirse Fitzpatrick. That's a three-way battle potentially for P5.
I tell you what, you managed to nail Saoirse's name. I know if she does listen back to this, she's going to be smiling and grinning ear to ear. So, other than that, yeah, ultimately interesting to see what Nina Hahn and Christina Ryan are gonna be able to do. Those two are incredibly rapid. I mentioned, of course, and I spoke about Christina Ryan previously, but Nina Hahn, in her own right, is absolutely rapid. The Olympus esports driver. She is a motorsports driver. She was one of 5 people that managed to get a test drive via the Racing Pride scholarship program for the ERA Championship. So she did a test session in one of the ERA electric open wheel cars at Circuit de Zolder, which was a really massive thing, and Nina got a massive opportunity to do that, and has been
That's huge,
has been so, it's really driven her. Of course, she was part of Formula student programs as well in the past prior to that. So motorsports has been, with her for so long, and but she's incredibly rapid and incredibly fast in real life, let alone in sim. And these two are going to be really fun to watch, especially as the race goes on.
Currently watching this happening, kind of unfold right in front of us. I'm wondering what Christina exactly is waiting for her perfect moment. Maybe trying to just put the pressure on, always capitalizing on any mistakes, or just waiting possibly to use any lap traffic to her advantage.
Yeah, knowing Christina, I know she's going to be in a call with Emily and probably Callie, because she's going to be asking questions around what do you think is going to be the right decision here, what strategic call do you think is going to be right, and kind of weighing out where she's going, because I know with Christina, the way she drives is she's very much keep it in a groove, keep it comfortable, don't do anything risky, don't do anything stupid, and just take the opportunity when it arrives. And all it takes is, wow, commentator's curse. That was horrible. No. It looks like an issue for Christina Ryan. She drops back, doesn't look serious, but I think lost it on the inside curve. But that has ultimately benefited Nina Hahn, who has now solidified P3.
Yeah, I believe he gave Saoirse an opportunity as well, moving up to P4 now, +3 positions for her qualifying. And we know her pace, right, from her hero card. So very interesting to see how she capitalized that. And Christina kind of rapidly dropping in the timing here. I wonder what's going on with her. If anything's with her car or with her setup, or in sim racing, unfortunately, anything can happen. I've had pedals go bad, the wheel turn off, so a lot of variables to account for, and not just racing.
It's possible. The way it looked like from the rear camera angle at the time was that she kind of lost it going in, and the car kind of went. Whether she's kind of overdone her tires. I don't know if the rear fender, the rear right fender, ended up kind of clashing against the outside safer barrier. Possible that potentially that's caused aero damage, which is kind of a bit of a pain, especially on these next gen cars, where aerodynamics, especially around the fenders and the under tray, are so sensitive and so important for these cars to go forward. So, I mean, yeah, we'll keep, of course, an eye on all of that. But yeah, Sish Fitzpatrick is going to try and reel in the cars ahead. I mean, of course, you just got to look at her. She is incredibly consistent. She, as a driver, she absolutely loves. Oh, looks like we get a replay here. Yeah. So she doesn't catch the wall. I think it's just tires. I genuinely think it's just tires. She's overdone the tires in trying to recover it.
And it's exactly what you mentioned in the beginning of the race.
Yeah. You just got to be so careful, because in this situation, especially around Pocono, where it's being a short tri-oval, it's yeah, especially through the dogleg section where you can take so much of the track. At that point, you just end up compromising it. Ooh, okay, interesting. This was off the start. It's number 42. They're having an issue. Okay, interesting. That was Annalise Riot. Maybe
yeah, unfortunately getting collected up in that. Yeah, that's really. I wonder if she just caught up the drivers, that like kind of caught them off guard there, or they just forgot to brake.
I think personally, what I can imagine has happened is that the car drivers behind most likely saw some of the other cars launching, and Annalise didn't kind of go with them. And I think possibly that's what's happened there. But looking at another replay, this. Ooh, okay, Jane Astra being involved there. Nowhere to go, the Calgary-based driver.
You can see her reacting, and then unfortunately, right, gets hit regardless of her reaction time there and her trying to get away from the incident. That is totally unfortunate for Jane there.
Well, this is it. I mean, it's a space that exists until it doesn't, and I mean, in that case, if I'm Jane Astra, I will be gutted. But at the same time, anything can happen. No yellow flags yet, so if your bets are for a limited amount of yellow flags, I think you're still on the money so far.
Yeah, we're on lap 43 out of 200 here at Phoenix Raceway, but I kind of want to touch on what we're racing for tonight as well. I mean, of course, this is the Screen to Speed International Women's Day race, so thank you all for joining us as we kind of just showcase the representation of female-identifying sim racing drivers competing and entertaining us tonight. But let's talk about the prizes. I mean, the winner is a belt break, which is, not too shabby. That's pretty great. That's a very incredible prize, and we appreciate. Sim Magic base and wheel provided by Extreme Sim Racing for second place, and the EK Fluid Gaming AIO for the top 3. So putting up our prizes here on the screen, you can see them. Look at that rig.
That's fancy. And yeah, Sim Magic, I've through companies that of course sponsor us, I know that I've heard plenty of really good things about Sim Magic, and even from people that don't use don't have a direct working relationship with them. Honestly, they say that some of their gear is absolutely fantastic. So definitely an interesting one for a driver. And yeah, the AIO
prizes looks
the AIO
very cool
as well. Yeah, no, it's good. More IGB makes your PC go faster. That's
it's like 2/10 in a sim race. You didn't hear it from me.
God, yeah. Gotcha.
Question from the chat here. Jamie and Ash, do we have stages tonight? Are we going uninterrupted?
We are going uninterrupted. We are doing this old school.
We're doing this old school.
Doing this old school. Back in the old cup days.
No need to calculate stage points or any of that.
Nah, it's a one-shot race. This is like the All-Star race, but without stage breaks. The old All-Star race. I mean, the legends, you talk about sort of legends. I'm trying not to mention the sponsor because technically, I don't know if I can mention the original name or the common name for that era of NASCAR. I guess we'll go with Nextel. We'll go with Nextel prior to the of course the Cup races. Prior to of course the playoffs and stage breaks. But yeah, I guess ultimately we're on board at the moment with the number 78. So I think that's Jane Astra ahead as well. So Jane doesn't look to be doing too bad. There's Kerry Anderson, the number 78, in those two Ford Mustangs. Of course, those Ford Mustangs, these are the new models that were released for 2024. Of course, Ford decided with the Mustang they wanted to kind of try and find the right words. They wanted to try and make their entire Mustang range really identifiable and really the same. And of course, as we know, there were some projects done over the last year and a bit, where cars. Of course, we had the new V8 supercars, the new Gen 3 cars over there. Of course, the new update to the Mustang that of course raced there for the past couple of years. Of course, they wanted to kind of solidify that with the NASCAR and, of course, now the GT3 cars, which are now running in IMSA and the World Endurance Championship. So you can see where before you had that grille that would come down, it was almost kind of like a massive, kind of half donut shape, like a D. Of course, you've got a very aggressive-looking front for the Mustang. So good to look at, though, I will say.
Another question from the chat. What are we looking at for a pit cycle? What is that looking like for our drivers here tonight? As they've been out already for 52 out of 200 laps, when are we should be pitting? Relatively soon.
Well, I mean, yeah, it will be interesting to see. I can imagine that you're going to start seeing the pit stops now. But the question that's going to make this even more interesting, because we might not necessarily see this, is how many tires do they take? How many tires do they take? Because if they are wanting to go for a 4-tire stop, it's going to be slower.
Mm-hmm.
But ultimately, you're going to have better traction later on in the race. You see Emily Howe trying to get through lap traffic. But also, if you decide to take the risk and go for a 2-stop, which might be the case, Yvonne Huvelaar catching a wall there as well. But yeah, if you take a 2-stop, it's a simple risk. Your inner tires, your tires that you don't swap are already heated up. They're already rubbered in. They're going to last a lot longer, so you're going to start feeling the car kind of coming away from you. It's kind of, which one's going to work best? Do you take the safe option, or do you take the slightly riskier option that's possibly faster and might get you the track position and advantage that you would want?
What would you do if you were in this race right now? And you have to hit a wall, you're running really well, let's say you're top 5.
Personally, I would go for the 2. Just from my experience and from watching oval racing, at least from a sim racing perspective, from so many of these a bunch of the wonderful people that are actually racing tonight, the 2-tire option tends to work out a lot better, because as long as you're managing your tires well, like say for example Emily, I imagine she's going to go 2-tire. Ooh, bump there from Jane Astra. But if I know her, she's going to probably go for a 2-tire. Just because she's handled her tires so well, so the drop-off isn't going to be as significant. And ultimately, she's already made that gap, so she can probably utilize it, and then maybe later on she goes for a 4-tire. But, I mean, personally, you start off with, go for a 2-tire, there's no harm in doing so. And it looks like Jane Astra's really struggling with that car now. I think a bit too much bumping with the wall there has caused a bit too much damage. Possibly suspension, because I can't seem to see much with the aero on that car.
Yeah, we can see a little cosmetic damage, but that doesn't indicate anything to us as viewers on that kind of damage here. And something to note about this pit entry also in real life, you spend a lot of time, you lose a lot of time going into the pits, so you want to make sure you don't overcook those tires when you have to pit frequently, or exactly to your point, just choosing the wrong combo of which tire sets to either 2 or 4, and make sure you get that accurate from the get-go.
Oh, absolutely. It's all about strategy. It's all about figuring out what your other drivers, what's going to happen. It's also preparing yourself as well, because if in the situation, you know, because it also depends as well on yellow flags as well. Because if you pit under a yellow flag, it's easier. You can then have the ability to go for a 4 tire, take it a bit later, especially if it's later on in the race. You can take 4 tires at that point, and then suddenly, if you have enough time, Jane Astra's really struggling again, and that's a front bump there. Cosmetically though, still not bad, but yeah, it looks like she's towed.
Brings out her first caution of the evening here at lap 59.
There we go, number 1. If you've got number 1, you got a chance. If you said there would be no cautions, unfortunately, your betting is over for tonight. But it is going to ultimately be, starting off with, in this case, it's going to be Emily Howe leading the way. Pretty significant. Athena Leclerc in P2 at the moment. I mean, it'd be interesting to see what can happen.
Right, do you think anyone's going to jump in after when the pits reopen?
I can imagine so. This probably is pretty opportune in terms of pit strategy now, because around 60 laps into 200, you kind of would have come to your natural progressive end, and you're going to start seeing everyone kind of come in. Oh, looks like Yvonne isn't, Garnet Adams isn't. So a few cars have decided not to, but I believe the leaders might have. No, Emily Howe hasn't, but Fina Leclerc, Nina Hahn, Sish Fitzpatrick, Christina Ryan, Callie Height, and of course Jane Astor is already in the pits, but those drivers have all come into the pits. So the top between 2nd and 6th have all come in. Belle Wells, of course, interesting to see if she would come in as well. And we've got, of course, Garnet Adams yet to come in, so possibly they might come in on the next go round. But the lane was not open until when they came in. So now this is really interesting.
That changes a lot. Cold tires claim a victim. Cold tires, and yeah, pit lane was not open. Probably exactly why Emily stayed out.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, you can see now Emily stayed out still. She obviously knows something that we don't know. Garnet, though, Yvonne are the two kind of people to watch here, because they weren't in the pits. And Belle Wells, 7th, 8th, and 9th. They didn't go into the pits, and they went into the pits when the lane was open. So now they are most likely now going to benefit from not being called in to serve a penalty. This completely changes the inflection of this race. Honestly, yeah.
Ben makes a good point in the chat. Avoiding penalties is one of the easiest ways to win a race, or if you get a penalty and can't avoid it, that's one of the easiest ways to lose a race, unfortunately.
With especially in NASCAR, of course, penalties are such a difficult thing. Now, I guess the benefit is with NASCAR, you do get the lucky dogs, you do get waiver rounds. That is something. But even then, you're banking on so much luck to put you in that position that it's just as a risk reward. It's 9 times out of 10, it's just not worth the risk. So it's better just to stay out of trouble, run your own race, and just maintain and manage your own performance. So looking at the moment, of course, that is Athena Leclerc. He's going to have to come back in again with a penalty. One of the cars that came in when the lane was closed. So this could be a massive change. The question mark of where this race is going to go for Athena Leclerc. Now, of course, it's going to be interesting to see what's, of course, Sish Fitzpatrick going to have to come in top 5 or 6, not including Emily Howe, all going to have to worry about this at some point. But yeah, I think Garnet Adams, Belle Wells, and Yvonne Hufel are the 3 people to keep an eye out on now, especially with the with no penalties at hand. So we're just watching and waiting as the rest of the cars are allowing them through. It looks like they're kind of realigning and heading to the back of the field. I am wrong. The other cars are being waved around. Just trying to figure out what's going on at the moment. Mostly,
The order of operations here. Just
yeah,
need to did tuck away. There we go. We go in green here on lap
going green
63.
here. There we go, and we're off. I'm confused. I don't know if there's any penalties to be served, but it does look like as we restart at the moment, it is Athena Leclerc at the moment under pressure from Nina Hahn at the moment. Kelly Height is fighting away, is taking the inside line. It looks like a very wide line there for Saoirse Fitzpatrick as she comes under pressure. She's going almost side by side. Kelly Height really kind of crowding Saoirse Fitzpatrick into the outside safer barrier, but keeping it clean, but that has allowed for Christina Ryan to open up a gap as well and kind of slot in as that Toyota Camry of the number 7 Toyota Camry really having to try and avoid and take a high line to just try and avoid any carnage. But Saoirse Fitzpatrick is going to get the benefits, of course, of the tow. Of course, you're going to see, especially with these cars with the new aero, you can have a massive hole punch in the air from the car in front. So that is really going to help. And looks like Jane Astra's had another spin on the inside. So this seems to definitely have not been the best race for Jane Astra, unfortunately. That damage just seems to have gone a bit too far for Jane Astra. But as we're looking on board at the moment, it's the two teammates at the moment following up. So Saoirse Fitzpatrick, Garner Adams would be interesting because this is another thing as well. Some of these drivers here are teammates. You've got a few teammates or you've got a few people that are really good friends and race with each other on a very consistent basis. You've got Emily Howe, Christina Ryan. You've got teammates in terms of Prismatic Motorsports. You've got Saoirse Fitzpatrick and you've got Garner Adams. They're going to be in a chat together, talking away about what they're doing. They're going to be working together. There are other drivers across this grid. Team Cake as well would have been another team here, but there are a few other teams that are out and about involved in this race that are going to be working together, and that teamwork and that team strategy is also going to be really interesting to see how that reflects on this race as well, and what moves could be made when they're building up these lines.
Yeah, I was told no team orders. Wait a second. I won't tell. Chat doesn't tell anyone. I won't tell anyone. I will keep it a secret.
There was no team orders from my perspective. I said, enjoy your race, go out there, have fun. Don't do anything I wouldn't do, other than actually, not race, because I tend to not race in sim races myself. So, but
does your team get together, or do you guys get together for, talking about races, the best strategy, what to do if people are racing together? Is that something that happens? Do you have a pre-race brief together?
So yeah, traditionally we do. We're always usually talking. Maybe a good example of this was, of course, our involvement with British F4 last year, the British F4 Esports Championship. And we would spend the weeks ahead. We'd have a dedicated chat. We'd be talking about kind of what to expect in terms of setup, in terms of strategy, in terms of kind of what to expect from other drivers and what's going on around us. And then before that race, we're always in a chat together, we're talking, and especially during the practice, we're taking as much information as we can on track from test laps, from other cars around us about what we expect to do or what might happen during the races. So we're always talking, and especially teamwork is so pivotal to that, because if you're working against each other, you're not really going to get anywhere, and really you become stronger if you work as a unit. So, and that's also the same in NASCAR. There may be a ton of personalities, the liveries may look different, but there are teams in NASCAR.
Interesting, different line here being taken by Ryan, trying to make the move, knowing the middle lane going into down by the apron. So yeah, you can have middle line to carry that momentum, but then open up a little bit, get below the apron, but no need to get super down because you want to get back up to hit that brake marker in time. But yeah, it's currently I believe we have 5 drivers fighting for P1 through 5 as they are. Look at those gaps, those intervals.
they're almost non-existent, especially in these cars. These
It's
cars
three
are
tenths of
going,
difference.
yeah, these cars are going quite fast. They're going about 180, 190 odd mile an hour. And these gaps are almost non-existent. They might seem like somewhat of a gap. They might seem like a sizable gap on your screens, whether that be in pixel form or in real life. But these gaps are so tiny in terms of time split between each other. There's just nothing between them, and it is very much a, if one of these drivers makes a mistake,
Mhm.
it's this split second reaction that you have to try and avoid it. It's just that close, and you can see this now. But though you are starting to see a slight pack form between the front four, Sisha Fitzpatrick is dropping away slightly, but not significantly enough to be completely lost from the rest of the pack. But she probably does want to keep that gap close. Otherwise, she is going to lose that. She is going to lose the toe from the car in front. Of course, Garnet is going to possibly work into this as well. Garnet Adams in the car behind going to want to try and work into this as well. She's going to want Saoirse to keep it close so she can be kept on this train as well. Because there's no this not being a super speedway, this is very much going to be a track where there's no lines forming. It's all about positioning your track on the track and then maintaining yourself and keeping within the packs, especially if you're in the lead pack. So on board at the moment with, this is Garnet Adams in the number 22 car. You can see the of course see the Toyota Camry of Sisha Fitzpatrick, the car ahead, as we go past one of my favourite features of a racetrack, the glowing cactus. Every time I see it, I just sit there and go, "What a great design decision!" It turns different colours depending on what flag. I just love it. So cool.
I mean, you mentioned earlier, it is very scenic. I was luckily have gone to Phoenix twice for the finals for 2023 and 2022. It's very cool to see, and it's absolutely gorgeous. I mean, it's crazy driving from Phoenix, knowing how busy it is, and how sometimes difficult it is to drive in the streets of Phoenix, and then making your way towards the mountains to the racetrack, beautifully set at the hills. Absolutely gorgeous. The weather is always usually perfect. If anything, but a light jacket. So, absolute dream to hopefully one of our drivers or all of them could race there one day or get an opportunity.
Well, it's absolutely possible. Well, I mean, ultimately, it's going to be exciting to see what can happen. But yeah, I mean, Phoenix is a track. It's fun to see, of course. Unlike other tracks where, especially super speedways, you see kind of the apron be a factor. You know, you can't go underneath the yellow line. Of course, the dog leg here does make it very unique. Just because you can dip under that yellow line, like you can see Athena Leclerc doing there, you can do that on this track. It's a really interesting dynamic to this track that means that you have an additional line you might not necessarily take if you're just following the rule of stay above the yellow line. And it's interesting. It's also helpful because I don't think it would be possible on many other tracks because of the fact that you have quite a significant vertical incline where the track kind of cambers quite high. I mean, I went to the NASCAR Hall of Fame in Charlotte last year, and yeah, I know, but they have a section which it shows all the inclines of some of like the massive, especially the super speedways like Talladega and Daytona, and it's crazy seeing the inclines. Now Phoenix is very different because it is so shallow that hitting that dog leg on that flat is just so simple. There's not much between them as we look, and it looks like a bit
Carrie
of a
Anderson,
problem.
78.
Yeah, a bit of a problem for Kerry Anderson there, catching and kind of losing it going through the dog leg. Manages to keep it out of the wall enough to stay out of trouble, but that's one of the risks there. You do lose some of your control as the canvas suddenly changes. But usually, as long as you keep the car going straight, it's not too bad. But if you are a little bit timid and you do kind of shank it ever so slightly to the left or the right, the car will tend to kind of lose its grip and will head towards a retaining wall.
I love what we're watching here. Athena not letting Emily get away this time on the restart from lap 63. So close. I mean, just a tenth of a second right behind, waiting to make that mistake, putting on that pressure.
She needs to keep it close. She absolutely needs to keep it close. I mean, in this situation, if you want a chance to win, you want to have a chance to make a move, you've got to keep her close. And I mean, there's a little bit of bumping there. That is the kind of thing I love seeing in racing, especially in this kind of level of racing. I mean, it's something you don't necessarily see in open wheels, because obviously the open wheels have the strength of a biscuit. They are very, very, very prone to falling apart when they're impacted. Yes, it's the only comparison I can think of in that moment at the time. It also probably tells me how hungry I actually am as well. Probably a reflection of that. But ultimately, NASCARs, because they're closed cockpit, they are very strong. They're quite large, quite hefty shells. You can get away with bumping. As the comment is, rubble is racing, and that's exactly what we're seeing. So I guess we'll talk a little bit about the prizes then. Of course, we're seeing on the screen.
What are we competing for today? Right? Why are we making our drivers suffer through 200 laps of Phoenix Raceway tonight?
Well, I mean, of course, other than the fact of celebrating International Women's Day, of course, the top three do win some cool prizes, of course. First place will win a Sebelt sim racing rig, which looks absolutely fantastic if I do say so myself.
I do like the neon yellow kind of detailing there. I think it's very, very cool.
It's a good colour mix there. Really good colour mix there. Of course, we'll look at prize number 2 very shortly. A Sim Magic wheelbase and wheel. Of course, this will be a direct drive wheel as well. I mean, Sim Magic are a company that's got a positive reputation when it comes to sim racing servos. So it's awesome to see the winner, the second place finisher, go away with a pretty cool prize in their own right. And the third place prize, of course, is a brand new RGB AIO from EKWB. So, of course, even if it doesn't directly help you in terms of actual sim racing, in terms of your physical sim racing rig, in terms of your bucket, your stand, in everything, it will still help you, because ultimately it will help you increase your performance of your PC that you're running your sim on.
And if you, of course, are not competing, which I believe you and I are not as we're commentating, and chat is watching along with us, you can register as an ally for a chance to win official Screen to Speed merchandise.
Yes, that's
so
merchandise.
Yeah, so if you want to support the initiative from In Esports, Screen to Speed, and such, everything we've talked about tonight, especially, I mean, making this race happen right now, make sure you check out the merch for Screen to Speed and grab yourself a shirt.
Yeah, there's some pretty cool shirts, pretty cool jerseys. I mean, I got a shirt last year. I wore it for quite a while, like Screen to Speed shirts. It's quite cool to kind of rep the brand, and when you're out and about, really show your interest, or show your success, or show the positivity around the movement that Screen to Speed provides.
Mm-hmm.
But of course, on top of that, you mentioned, of course, becoming an ally, but also there's some cool stuff potentially coming up. Of course, we mentioned earlier there have been a bunch of other cup races and events that have occurred over the year, of course, over the last year and a bit since Las Vegas. Of course, we had the Spring Cup, Summer Cup. We had the Winter Cup just finish on iRacing, and for the very first time, Gran Turismo 7. So there are plenty of events coming up, and there are more events coming up soon. We'll talk about them a little bit later. But if you are interested in taking part and you want to figure out if you qualify to take part for any of these events in iRacing and Gran Turismo 7, you can go online and ultimately take a look at the website. It's www.screentospeed.com, and what you'll be able to do is look and see if you were eligible to race in these events. and, and ultimately give yourself a chance to win some cool prizes in your own right. Of course, that is www.screentospeed.com. So we're on board here with Annalise Riot.
Ooh, VR. Very cool.
That must be so hard after how many laps so far?
Yeah, I need to have a fan in my face if I use VR to like, just make sure my brain understands what's happening. Otherwise, I don't feel too well if I'm in VR too long. So it's very cool that Annalise gets to do that. And the experience and the realism must just be crazy.
Yeah, I know. She's sucked into the Matrix.
We're gonna have to unplug her after the race. Make sure she comes back.
Oh no! Isn't that the kind of like the thing? You can't unplug them. You have to be very careful. You have to bring them out of it slowly.
Yeah, we'll call her. We'll find a telephone booth. We'll call her, and then it'll be fine.
So of course, looking on board at the moment is Christina Ryan in the number 80 and Sish Fitzpatrick in the number 7 at the moment. Of course, the two Toyota Camry cars. Of course, these two have raced on plenty of circuits before, in so many different series, so many different categories of cars. These two know each other pretty well. And, of course, not talking just about the Screen Speed Las Vegas final. Of course, Sish Fitzpatrick finishing third, Christina first, Christina Ryan finishing fourth in that final. So, of course, they know each other quite well. And but so far it does seem like Christina Ryan is just running her own race, and Saoirse is just going to continue following. And I don't blame her. I know Saoirse is pretty exhausted. She is from the Republic of Ireland. She is currently up at 3:01, much like I am at the moment in the morning. So she's putting in a pretty good stint, considering that I know before the race she was pretty exhausted.
Yeah, holding on to that P5, getting 2 positions, avoiding wrecks is very impressive for it being 3 a.m. I'm sure she's been up since the early hours in the morning, so I can't even imagine the focus she has right now.
I can definitely tell you she has been up, because before this, me and her were playing some games together since about 8 o'clock our GMT, 8 p.m. GMT. So we have been up pretty much non-stop. There has not been very much of a break for us. She really has been awake for much of this.
Seeing Emily Howe here in the live timing, kind of now peeling away, chipping away at that gap. Now almost a second ahead of Athena.
Yeah, she's maintaining the gap, and she's kind of building it. But this is what I said earlier. She has a habit. She has a tendency to not only know what the tires are doing, know how the tire model works on this car. Her knowledge of the physics around the tire models, the physics around the aero models, especially on oval in iRacing, is probably only beaten by the devs that develop it. Like, genuinely, her knowledge is insane. She has so much feedback, she has so much information that just is unparalleled. And it doesn't surprise me now seeing that she started to peel away that strategic kind of management of the tyres and understanding the tyre model is starting to pay off once again. That gap is starting to stretch. We're on board with Nina Hahn, another late night runner. And that's, I'll tell you
VR.
What, more VR.
Maybe I should get into VR. Maybe I'll have a better iRacing. Seemingly, seeing the trend here. This is very cool.
Well, if you probably would have a much better iRating than I do, to be honest with you. I've done one race in the past 3 years, so. But Nina Hahn, of course, incredibly fast, incredibly pacey, and once again back on board with Christina Ryan and Saoirse Fitzpatrick. These two are keeping it relatively close. Saoirse is just trying to see what's available on that high side. But Christina really isn't losing enough on the low side for Saoirse to really find an opening. I think Saoirse's just accepting the fact she's going to try and just bring them closer and closer and closer, and then hoping to look for a moment where she can get a clear opportunity around Christina. She's also, I think, going high to keep the tyres safe here as well.
And also looking for that optimum opportunity. Once she passes Christina, it's still that gap between Christina and Nina that she has to worry about. So hopefully finding that moment where she can use some cars to her advantage if she is able to pass Christina.
Well, I mean, ultimately, yeah. I mean, what else can you say? She really is just looking for an opportunity here, and I mean, you can also see the difference in the way that these two are viewing their strategy, viewing their tires. You know, especially with Christina taking such a low line versus Saoirse, who's letting off ever so slightly, taking the higher line. And you know, it's interesting to see what's going to be better. And you can see Saoirse Fitzpatrick once again starting to get an advantage here. Manages, of course, once again, Christina Ryan manages to hold on to that position. We're just going to keep seeing Saoirse kind of open up the gap, and also traffic is going to be an important thing here. See Yvonne Houfler on the inside there. So question is what opportunities is she going to get? Saoirse is seeming to gain enough, but she isn't quite getting enough to really make a solid move and solid inroads to overtake.
Sorry to interrupt, but chat did bring up a good point about 8 laps ago. Oh, no, 9 laps ago. We were hearing some Bon Jovi, some Living on a Prayer. Oh, we're halfway there. I'm going to correct, we're on lap 109 out of 200 here at Phoenix Raceway for our Screen to Speed International Women's Day race.
I am so tired that I sat there looking at the chat going, wait, hang on a minute, did they play Bon Jovi on the conversation? Yeah. I was sitting there going, I was losing it for a minute. No, that actually makes a lot more sense. Oh, dear,
But one caution out of 110 laps now. So maybe all of us betting a little bit on the high side. We're just being a little Debbie Downers here, a little pessimistic. Because our drivers have been doing exceedingly well. I mean, the usual suspects in the top 5 with Saoirse Fitzpatrick, Christina Ryan, Mia Hamm, Tina Leclerc, and Emily Howe. So
of course,
interesting to see how the strategy plays out. And you mentioned, exactly talking about the tires, next pit cycle. Anything could still happen here. We have a few more laps to go.
Well, of course, I mean, we're on board at the moment with Kerry Anderson at the moment. Of course, a motorsports competitor running for SimMotion US, of course, is just someone that's based out of Spokane. She made it very abundantly clear of how to pronounce it, Washington in the United States. Ultimately loves to travel, enjoys surfing, hiking, and exploring unpaved jungle roads. But of course, she races in the meantime, and she's absolutely addicted to it. But is also a massive fan from all of her points around Mount Panorama, and specifically Skyline as a corner.
I'll have to ask what the flag behind her was. I mean, I know it's not a Whataburger flag, but that's what it looked like. And I'll have to make that joke to her. It's a very popular food chain here in the United States, or certain parts of the United States. So I'll have to double check what that flag was. I'm not mistakenly. maybe she's a massive Whataburger fan. Oh, we do have a yellow.
Okay.
Being shown.
Interesting. And why might that
commentator's
be?
curse. I apologize to everyone.
No, I don't think it was as bad as my one earlier, to be honest with you.
Look, see, it's a yellow cactus.
Sorry, that gets me every time. Like the child.
It's a fun addition.
It's such a fun addition. I love
Fun
it.
detail,
It's
for sure.
so cool.
Here's our replay.
Oh, a bit of blinking.
No.
Oh dear, and the 551 and Baby Dilks. Yeah. Eek. Yeah, that's unfortunately there, blinking. The car kind of blinked back in front of another one, and ultimately that cost her. I mean, the fact that Emily has managed to do half a race on all of those tyres is insane, right? I'm not surprised. But I don't think she is pit yet. This will be the first pit of her race.
No. Really? Wait,
I'm trying to figure it
Can
out.
production confirm if they have a moment?
If one of the race control can confirm, that would be fantastic. Because if so,
Always the Parker's first pit stop.
Oh, for God's sake!
You're gonna
know.
bring in the rain. Emily is a wizard.
no, she is. I know.
She is. She just knows. She seems to do things that just seem impossible to other people, and it's kind of insane. She's very slow coming out though. Slow.
Fingers crossed, no penalties this time.
Okay. Keeping an eye on it right now. Looks like Christina Ryan has stayed out. The Columbus, originally Columbus, Ohio native, but currently representing the great state of North Carolina in Charlotte, the capital of the state.
Yeah, I believe Emily also took only 2 tires as well, as Chad is pointing out.
See, I'm magic. I already knew what she was going to do. Already knew what she was going to do. 2 tires.
You secretly have one ear also in the Discord. I'm sure you knowing what's going on in there.
No, it's just the fact I've watched her race so much over the last couple of years that I kind of have a vague idea of what her brain is doing at that time. It is crazy. She is a very crazy individual, but she always knows something more than everyone else when it comes to strategy. And we're about to see whether that was the best and 100% the best decision, or whether maybe someone has gotten the jump on it. But I tend to say it's a pretty good decision.
I kind of love finding that out, and I think you mentioned that earlier, seeing the risk versus reward, seeing these strategy calls, seeing how different drivers approach similar situations, seeing how they play to their strengths or how they make sure their weaknesses don't show up. As we group the field back together here on this yellow flag, and we have 83 laps to go. I mean, they just raced 117. They survived 117, but here we are, again, waiting for another restart for that final 83 laps.
Yep, they're going to form into 2 lines right here. The safety car lights have gone out, so we will go racing at the end of this lap. Wave arounds are currently in effect, so cars that are being waved around the safety car are already starting to go away. And the safety car is now going to come into the pits. The leader is going to have control of the lead here. So this will be the car on the inside. So that will be Christina Ryan, who will have the lead off around here at Phoenix on this restart. So we're just waiting for these cars, because there's a very long pit lane here. We're just waiting for these cars to round the final corner. And it's going to be Christina Ryan who's going to take the restart zone, and you can see what an incredible launch there from the 18. Brilliant decision making. Really nothing there from Nina Hahn. I think that possibly is just scenario there not working out quite well for Nina Hahn. So as we head back through, Christina Ryan leading the way. Pretty comfortable work there from Christina, but Nina Hahn, of course, in P2, really doing everything to try and make that gap back up. Keep an eye on Athena Leclerc in that Chevrolet machine. Waiting to see, looks like they're rubbing in the background, but keep an eye on Athena Leclerc, to see what she can do in terms of performance, in terms of pace, and what inroads that she can make. You can also see in the background a certain Sisha Fitzpatrick is also in this front group. A little bit of gap forming, but keep an eye on that number 7 machine. I mean, she won Screen to Speed in Las Vegas, she didn't win it for no reason. She's incredibly fast, and she knows these next-gen cars pretty well.
And seeing those times that these drivers are putting up at Vegas, incredibly impressed and very intimidating, trying to match up with them as well. As everyone has an opportunity to kind of see if you are looking to get involved. And I mean, I really appreciated the help in the Discord of what to do better, where to get the advantage, where maybe I'm making a mistake. So I really appreciated the camaraderie that was happening during these time attacks.
Oh, it was definitely very useful. It was a very useful and very informative thing. I know I was seeing it and I observed it from the outside, but just seeing the camaraderie, seeing the positivity, seeing a lot of the mixture of people providing information, giving advice, learning more on how to become better, how to perform better, how to get better times. it was really awesome to see at the time, and was genuinely a really positive thing about bringing more women into sim racing and giving them opportunities. And 15 people qualified
Hmm.
and got to live out a once in a lifetime dream, and that was pretty cool. So on board at the moment,
It's
we're
an
watching
interesting
to
line
see.
by Athena here.
Here we go.
Now
This
side
is
by
interesting.
side, really dipping below the apron to get that advantage. Which, if you
Well,
remember NASCAR, there's you got the whole track for your advantage.
you do,
Was she
especially
able to
around
make that
Phoenix.
overtake stick?
That's
Oh, I think
fantastic.
so.
That was a fantastic move there. I think Athena's interesting here because Athena really has thrown a wrench into the story. I mean, considering the launch, we said, Christina's got a fantastic launch. I think she's got some comfort here to maybe control the lead here. There's like a bit of a rub there on the side wall for Callie Height in
It's
the
for good luck.
background there. Probably, unfortunately, not too severe, but you still don't want to rub those. Safer barriers. They're not very nice to the cars. The cars don't like it.
Yeah, maybe Athena was feeling a little Groundhog Day. Didn't want a repeat of sitting behind someone in P2, knowing what she could do in the lead. So able to make that pass and hopefully able to build the gap a bit, which she is currently now 4/10 to Christina Ryan.
Yeah, of course. I guess my question is, I mean, this may be a question I'm going to pose to you.
Oh,
Yeah, this is
I hope I
it's
know
gonna
the
be fun.
answer.
Oh, I don't know. Maybe. No, it's just a personal thing. If you were in the lead of a race, or you were in second, which
Mhm.
position would you feel more comfortable in? Would you feel more comfortable being the one being chased, or the one that's chasing?
Being chased.
Okay,
I tend to
elaborate.
have a target fixation. So if the person in front of me makes a mistake, suddenly I'm making the same exact mistake, and I'm like, oh, I'm also in the grass with you. How fun! I think I deal with the pressure of being chased way better than chasing. I think I get too into my head in the chasing and get a little bit emotional, which can be good, but I just get really into it. I might overdrive the car, trying to get that pass, trying to get that overtake. So I much rather be chased.
No, of course. I think, to be honest with you, I know that some people do prefer being the one chasing and being the one putting under pressure, but yeah, it's such a double-edged sword because ultimately you're under pressure because you've got someone filling up your rearview mirror, and you're trying not to make any mistakes, but also at the same time, exactly what you said, target fixation. You're under pressure because you're wanting to try and make the lead, you're wanting to try and make the right decision, but then if you make a mistake, that opportunity's gone, and you feel like you're not in the position that you are to succeed. It's really interesting to see it's interesting to see where the different skills and the different comfort levels of the drivers are with these kind of things. And you can see Athena's strength here
Hmm.
is just leading from the front.
And nabbing that best lap down code, 27.184. Ben in the chat says, being chased, I can easily ignore the driver behind me and just hit my marks.
Well, no, of course. I think there were some other people there who's mentioned it as well. I think Saffington said, I always go fastest when chasing as well. I managed to catch that in chat. See, I'm learning. But so far at the moment, we are keeping an eye on what's going on here. That's Fina Leclerc lapping one of the lapped cars at the moment. See, Christina Ryan, that gap is really starting to stretch out quite a little bit. I mean, it's really looking stronger. We'll get a look and we'll get some visual looks. Oh, we were there for a minute. We were there. We're not there. We will see what's going to happen. Yay! There we go. We're getting on screen. So,
thank you to the production team, who's also, I say team. Thank you to Mike. Also, pretty late for both of you as well, Jamie, right?
yeah. We are now at 3:19 in the morning. So
3 a.m. I must be wrong. Yeah. little Matchbox 20. We're gonna have all kinds of musical references here as we started with Bon Jovi in the chat and moving on to Matchbox 20. But chat, thank you so much. We're on lap 133 of 200 of Screen to Speed for International Women's Day Race. Thank you so much for hanging out with us, knowing it is a Friday night, but you've chosen to spend it here with us, supporting female identifying drivers and sim racers, hanging out for Friday, competing against with fabulous prizes. And Jamie, thank you so much for having me and letting me co-host this.
Well, no, it was always a pleasure. As we know, always enjoy having you around, knowledgeable, and a great example as well of what inclusion in. I think yourself better, but it's good to see because of course you've had success in your own right in content creation around motorsports. Being involved with the Red Bull Creators program. You are another story of what can be achieved, and it's awesome to see as well. And I guess seeing you as a popular figure, someone that's developed and really succeeded, come on and broadcast an event like this for International Women's Day, it's pretty cool.
Thank you so much, Jamie. Hey, you gotta put your money where your mouth is. You can't just tote it around and not support the incredible initiatives. And Seppi Bao has been incredible, and I mean, plugging me in to make sure we're advocating for these female identifying sim racers and making sure they're getting their time to shine, because this talent is incredible as we're watching here right now.
Of course. I mean, what else can you say? They are absolutely incredible. I mean, to be honest with you, I watch a lot of these drivers. I speak to a bunch of them. I've dealt with many of them over the years. And I say, when I look at things, I look at things in such a simple way. And so many of these drivers look at this in such a kind of like, I know I joke about, them thinking playing 4D chess while I'm playing checkers. It really, really is like that, because the mindset of what they're thinking about is just absolutely incredible. I mean, the performance on track goes to show. They just really are top notch, and it's fantastic to see them succeed. And they've gone off into other events and succeeded as well. I mean, Patricia Fitzpatrick, outside of Screen to Speed, winning. She's featured in she featured in the British F4 Esports Championship last year, and was a starting driver and was a reserve driver the year before. We look at Emily Howe. She's a multiple-time race winner in multiple GT events. She's won, of course, Winsdale, a bunch of the Winsdale events, which are made up of some of the best and fastest oval races on the service. Christina Ryan, of course, raced in the, outside Screen Speed, raced in the eNASCAR College Series. Same with Athena Leclerc. So a bunch of these names, especially at the top, of course, Mina Hahn has had success, getting test sessions in life. So many of these drivers have thrived so well, and you can just see how cool this is. And it looks like safety car has come out, I think. Yes, it has. Not sure why, but talking about Nina Hahn right now, of course, didn't do very much. Came in very late in the Summer Cup. Didn't get very many opportunities, but you could see in the cups afterwards, you started to see, especially when she managed to get more consistently involved, she managed to really get involved. And of course, she became the winner of the Winter Cup in iRacing only 2 weeks ago, after a very tight title fight, which came down, I think, came down to the fact that she was only ahead by a couple of points by the end of it.
Oh, God.
I think, oh gosh, that's Callie Height. Oh dear, I don't know. I'm not sure.
She's trying to catch back up, and then just a little too hard on the throttle there.
A little bit, but not the time to do it. I guess maybe you'd say to an extent, maybe it is because the rest of the field isn't getting away from you, but also not, because it's one of those situations that maybe is you can probably avoid it.
Yeah, one of those things that is avoidable, but probably one of the reasons we love motorsports is the variability behind it. Sometimes stick and ball sports are a little bit too predictable, knowing what's going to happen, but here, motorsports, your machinery can fail, your strategy can fail, your team can let you down, you can let the team down by driving a little bit different or overdriving and this, that, and the other. Your tires overheating, strategy calls. There's just so much that goes to it, which is, I think, the exciting part of why we enjoy it.
Well, and like I said, it's so different as well from race series to series. I mean, the strategy in Formula One is never going to be the same as the strategy in NASCAR, and the strategy in NASCAR is never going to be the same as the strategy in the World Endurance Championship in IMSA. It's each series is so unique in its own way because of its own rule sets, its own development structures, its own technical regulations, and it just makes things so much more interesting. I mean, it's also the kind of thing where if you have a weekend like last weekend when you had Formula One on, you had of course the Bahrain Grand Prix, you had the World Endurance Championship in Qatar. The fact that you could go off and you could watch like an entire weekend full of motorsports and not get bored because of the fact that the events and the races are different in their own rights, it's pretty cool. Okay, so looking at the moment, keeping an eye on some of the information at the moment, but so far the lights have gone out, so we are going to wait about. We're going to see, and we're going to go through and see what we're going to get from the rest of this race. There are still plenty of laps to go. We're on lap 142 of 200. The safety car has come in, the pace car. I keep saying safety car, I'm too European. but so far it
sounds natural to me. It makes sense.
So is the Fina Leclerc leading the way? She's going to have the lead here as the inside car on the lead lap there. And as we go green, you see Fina Leclerc getting a really good start there, going very low, but Christina Ryan has another fantastic launch and gets past Sitch Fitzpatrick, who gets absolutely swamped. Gets absolutely swamped by most of those drivers there. Drops from second all the way down to fourth in all of that. Now under pressure with Callie Height on the inside. A bit of a bump there on the rear quarter panel, the rear left quarter panel for Sitch Fitzpatrick. But that does drive Callie Height wide. She falls back into the rest of the field. You see Emily Howell there, and Callie Height's been caught. Callie Height's been caught again. That is going and is slid into the retaining wall right by the dog leg. Not ideal.
The yellow flag. I wonder if we're able to get back on the track pretty quickly.
Looks like I don't
60 there.
Yeah, I don't think she caught the wall, so I think she probably got away with it, probably with some very, very, very upset tires, but not ideal.
I mean, this is the part we might be seeing yellow flags as drivers. I mean, the verb I like to use is squirrely. Might be getting a little squirrely to get that podium, knowing how close they are. Oh, here's a replay. Oh, did hit that ball. Was able to continue.
Okay, so lesson learned that that Chevrolet is made out of glass.
Able to, like a Nokia phone, able to withstand.
Yes, yes, that is a very good comparison. Of course, not talking about Nokia phones. We will, of course, talk about some of the cool stuff that is going on, bringing up International Women's Day, but also some names of people that have been involved with the series or potentially were going to be involved. Of course, one that was potentially going to be here tonight but couldn't attend was Amber Balkan. Now, Amber, of course, is a driver that has been around in the oval scene for a little bit, relatively new. But she was going to be racing. She was going to ultimately be racing tonight, but she actually is racing the real-life version of Phoenix Raceway this weekend. She's on track today, and because of that, she was not able to attend, which is really cool, especially with talking about the pathway a little bit earlier that we mentioned, the fact that we're seeing opportunities come from sim racing, from stuff like screen to speed, for people to get opportunities to go into real life motorsports and to open up their opportunities in progressing and really making their dreams come true. Really.
Yeah, and I don't really care what anyone says. I think the representation and being on the forefront and showing women sim racing, showing women in the pits, showing women driving is just so important. We keep saying, like, right, if you can see her, you can be her, but seeing yourself possibly in that shoes, someone who looks like you, regardless. I mean, currently, right now, right, Arca Menards, you have Isabella Robusto. I mean, there's so many great women drivers out there racing. Alone this weekend, representation through sports car racing, representation in F1 Academy. They had their first race today of their season. It's been very, very cool to see Jamie Chadwick and Indy Next. There's just so much happening. I'm so excited for young girls to be watching now, all these drivers representing so well, and then hopefully growing up inspired and able to climb through those glass ceilings that these women have broken into these positions and having a much easier time to get there and more support.
Exactly. I mean, you mentioned a bunch of names there. Of course, two names that are going to be on the NASCAR circuit this weekend is going to be Natalie Decker and Haley Deegan. Of course, Haley Deegan ran a screen-to-speed livery at Las Vegas last year in the Truck Series, which was really cool to see. That's but yeah, absolutely. Of course, Natalie Decker and Haley Deegan will be competing together on track for the first time this coming weekend. So we are pretty. It's awesome to see stuff like that as well. The fact that not only are we seeing individual women go through and making it through and really, giving themselves a good reputation in the levels that they race at, but also the fact we're seeing more. And we're seeing a progression of more and more women get these opportunities. And I mean, yeah, you mentioned F1 Academy and the range of drivers as well. I mean, most obvious answer there. I know there's a ton of different drivers involved. I love absolutely all of them. But Dorian Pang, for example, she is absolutely incredible. She's lighting up F1 Academy at the moment. She won yesterday, today. Yesterday, I guess, technically now for me. But she also, she's one of the first women. She was one of the first women to win in the World Endurance Championship after Lila Wadu, another incredible endurance driver. Currently a yellow flag and now 4. We'll keep an eye on what's going on here. But oh god, Garnet being spun at the beginning of pit lane. That was really nerve-wracking, but doesn't seem like major problems. Of course, Dorian Pang.
Okay.
Yeah. No, I'm sorry. Dorian Pang was not part of that lineup that won at Bahrain last year. Sorry, I'm
it's Amy Dilks.
Amy Dilks, though, not Dorian Pang. In that situation, no. Amy Dilks, having a bit of a trouble on the inside retaining wall of the pit lane. That brought out, of course, a safety car. A little bit of, I feel like I'm going to get a giggle out of both our production and out of Ash. Argy Bargy, as was discussed earlier, at the entrance of pit lane there.
And there's our 4th yellow flag for those folks keeping count at home, as we're nearing the double digits, but still not quite close. As we have 45 laps left here at Phoenix Raceway.
Exactly.
Something to denote. Speaking of Phoenix Raceway, the track president is a woman. So I mean, that's something I bring up because we talk about a lot of on-track careers, whether it's tire changing, refueler, truck driver for the hauler, driver, pit crew, PR, comms, IT, Dr. Julia Visor, who's the head medical director at IndyCar. I mean, but don't forget, there's also the business side of motorsports, which is huge. So track presidents, team vice presidents, team ownership, sponsor ownership. Those are huge roles in the making, and we definitely need more women in those decision-making roles as well.
No, of course. I mean, you are starting to see it now, and I know Formula One is an example of a series which is definitely, at least from over the last couple of years, you are starting to see a lot more prominence of women in sport. I mean, of course, in terms of strategists, you've got Hannah Schmidt in Red Bull Racing. You have, of course, You did have, up until recently, until she became a pundit, you did have Bernie Collins for a good couple of years, who is now incredibly popular because of her incredible knowledge that she uses in her broadcast work. So you are starting to see figureheads within really key strategy decision making at these teams as well, at not just you're not just at the teams at the back of the grid or teams that are struggling financially. You're seeing these at top level teams, and they're going out and they're winning, helping win championships. In the case of Hannah and Red Bull, so it's really cool to see that we're really getting so much of that, and we're also seeing so much growth as well of those roles, and they're being shown as being major contributors to those successes. So far, safety car lights are out. We are going to be led off by Nina Hahn, a new race leader, but a new restart leader. But Saoirse Fitzpatrick, she just seems to keep being in these places. She seems to, every time, she seems to be the second car. She seems to be the one on the outside. I don't know what she's doing. I don't know how she's doing it, but she just seems to keep doing it. I'm also not sitting here going, I absolutely love that livery, but it looks like she's been left to dust there. Unfortunately there, and it looks like Nina Hahn's got an incredible launch. Afina Leclerc having another fantastic launch there, but it looks like Saoirse Fitzpatrick's now under pressure from Christina Ryan. It looks like, so that's Emily Howe's already gotten past Saoirse Fitzpatrick as well. So from second to fourth, it seems like restarts have not been the friend of Saoirse Fitzpatrick.
I'm going to need to start a hashtag justice for Saoirse. I mean, she always seems to get either just double teamed from either side of people passing or whatnot. I mean, you mentioned just now, this is the second time she was second and dropped down to fourth. But we know she has that in her. She can get that P1. I know she can.
She absolutely can. No, she absolutely can.
She needs to stop being bullied on track. Everyone lets Saoirse. No, I'm just kidding. We don't want to do that. We want clean, good racing, and we know she can get there without any help. And we've seen that happen in Vegas, so I know she can do it again easily.
She's a big girl. She knows what she's doing. Fun fact, I guess, maybe mention, she has recently gotten into professional wrestling training. So she has been doing
cool.
She's been doing some stuff in the squared circle as of recent. So she is.
She can do it all. What can she not do is the real question.
I don't know.
Next race I commentate with you, she's going to have a whole resume full of various professional skills and wins.
No, it's insane. It is very funny because I've seen her for all of this, and it's terrible because I think maybe not just specifically me, but I know us in our community have probably been a really bad influence because we got her back into professional wrestling. And she became really into it again, and then she immediately went, you know what, I'm going to do this for real. She did. She probably just Saoirse said she's going to do something, she does it. Oh dear, teamwork there. Whoa, let's say teamwork. A little bit of bump in there. Come on, girls, keep it nice and clean, please. That is not a team order, I promise. But you can see Saoirse Fitzpatrick at the moment there, potentially lining up side by side with Callie Height. Callie Height getting a much better run there, coming off that low line there. So it just looks like Saoirse is just going to have to keep monitoring this race, just not allow this all to fall away from her, because she's got so much in the bag here. She's got so much in her. She really just needs to just find her comfort levels here. Looking at the moment, I think Saoirse's tyres possibly are worn though. That is something to bear in mind. I'm not sure that that's part of that is actually her fault, but I would say tyre strategy is going to be an interesting factor here. Also, yes, mentioned by Inner Esports in the chat, Saoirse did also mentor young women during the 5-week Sim for STEM program in Ireland. Yes, she did show up, and she was a lovely advocate for Sim for STEM. So she has done plenty on her own in that manner too.
Yeah, what's it turn out to? I mean, the battle here from P8 to, I mean, P1, very incredible. So close again with the restart. Thanks to that yellow flag.
Of course, well, we've got a close battle on screen at the moment, though. We get to just show a little bit of this. This, of course, was part of the Irish Sim for STEM program that was done by an incredible bunch of people, which Saoirse mentored, and this was a bunch of the Sim for STEM students in Ireland running around Mondello Park, the only FIA-rated, I think it's A license. It's one of the only. It's the only track in Ireland that could host top flight racing, I believe. But it was fantastic to see, and of course that little Instagram story showing the cool stuff that these young new people, not young new students got to really experience for the very first time. Some of them never had an interest in motorsports before, but were given an opportunity to embrace and learn something new, and you can tell by the smiles on their faces they had a pretty good time.
Talking about it earlier, just having that community aspect and feel, and just going to the students and bringing them the motorsport, because sometimes it's not easily accessible to go to a track, the time commitment and whatnot. I think it's so cool that Screen to Speed and Silver STEM is right there and able to bring that knowledge of firsthand experience to the community and kind of ingrain the love of motorsports from the start.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, even if it's just getting them, on a sim rig, whether it's getting them working with tools on a car, for example, which is actually things they did do during the Sim for STEM program, small things. But those small things that are not what you would normally do, what you would never have the opportunity to do, getting the opportunity to do it, you get to experience it, and you go, and for some young women, it just clicks, and you just go, oh my god, this is really cool, and I love this. And giving them that opportunity to learn that, and not only do that, but also give them the support to be able to thrive also, it just makes things better. And honestly, it means so much to young people to show that somewhere which is has been a male-dominated space for much of its existence really isn't a male-dominated space, and doesn't need to be.
Absolutely.
So we're on board with the number 22. I guess I can give you a little bit of fact about this livery, considering this is one of mine. So this one here, yes, I'll take this one. But this livery was actually inspired very much by the Vegas livery that they ran last year at of course, the Screen Speed Las Vegas event. I got approached earlier this week, I'd say late last week, from Garnet saying, hi, I want to run forward because I want a tribute livery, in the style of the Screen Speed one, in the Prismatic Motorsports colours, kind of mixing the paying tribute to what I did last year, but also showing what I represent now, and so that was a lot of work that went into that over the kind of mid part of this week. And the idea was to make it kind of reminiscent of that original livery, and it's come out quite well. And I know she seemed to really like it. So
the the many things I like about liveries, right? The drivers have to showcase their personalities and what they stand for, their favorite color. It could be a variety of different things. I know for Sebring, the race coming up in iRacing, I asked my team if we could do a Jimmy Buffett inspired livery, kind of a little bit of a island life, some palm trees, a little bit of parrots there. It's just exactly what you want to show the sim racing road. So you did an incredible job here. It looks great.
I'll take
that. We love color.
We love color indeed. Yeah, no,
With 25 laps to go here at Phoenix Raceway. Again, Jimmy, thank you so much for having me here in Screen to Speed and in esports. This is really cool. This is really fun. I kind of I'd do this again. I was a little hesitant. I was like, oh, East Coast time, but no, I'm having great. This is a great race, and we're seeing some overtakes constantly here. Nina Han now down to P6, Emily Howe back up to P2, Christina Ryan here now at P3 with the 25 laps to go. To me, it's still anyone's podium.
Oh no, of course. I mean, there's still plenty of opportunities here. There's still plenty of rewards here, and you said it yourself. I mean, the split of the drivers, the fact that so many of these drivers have been bouncing around, and yellow flags and cautions have really changed the inflection of this race, have just made this so much more interesting. It looked at one point that Emily Howe was going to walk away with it, because the way she was pulling that gap, as soon as that first caution hit, that entire strategy went completely out the window. And you then saw Rafina Leclerc come back into it. You saw, Sisha Fitzpatrick have really good runs towards the very front. Of course, you saw Christina Ryan have leads at the front, which looked really strong as well. So you've seen a mixture of different drivers. Nina had a really brief spell at the front also. These drivers are all kind of jostling for position, and anything can happen over these last 22 laps that could completely change the way that this race progresses from here on out.
A great shout out in the chat. And says, I'm just a big fan of what Prismatic is doing. And Jamie, I don't know if we talked about you enough, honestly, as team principal and co-owner of Prismatic Motorsports, kind of providing that space, that advocacy, the voice for transgender people in sim racing. We want to give you a shout out from chat and myself for thank you for doing that and kind of heating the way there. It's been incredible. It's incredible to see the Prismatic drivers. I mean, following Prismatic Motorsports on social media and then seeing the drivers constantly just crushing it, it's really awesome. And love following along.
Well, no, I'm glad that it's the case. I mean, when we started a couple of years ago, I didn't think we would have I didn't think we would end up in the situation we are. We're over 130 odd people in a community Discord. X amount of drivers racing against some of the most well-known sim racing teams and some, actual motorsport teams in events like British F4. Never thought it would ever happen. So the fact it happened is kind of crazy. But I still can't get past the whole it was a happy accident. But for a team, but no, it's awesome to see, and we kind of need more teams or more organisations that have very similar premises to ours to help continue in very much like Screen to Speed is doing for International Women's Day and what it's doing for women. So a lot of that translates over. So we'll look at the replay right now, and this is Kerry Anderson. Oh,
what a hit into that barrier!
I think just loses it. Like the car kind of kicks into the left, kind of kicks inwards, and then when I think she tries to correct, and the car kicks the other way, and at that point it's just violent right into the safer barrier. Really, 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 really tough stuff there for Kerry.
Especially if you survived for so long, having that happen is just it's just really unfortunate.
It is, but I think sometimes it's just you just got to roll with the punches. I think in this situation, Kerry has done that to the best of her ability. I am looking in the chat at the moment though. Will we be able to ever be able to buy Prismatic stickers? Possibly. I will be honest. It's not actually been a thought in my mind, but I will register your interest for future reference.
It has been noted.
It has been noted. Yes, we are checking. We are back
on with me and Kerry Anderson here as she continues to keep going, which we appreciate. I think that also shows a great strength and kind of just attitude. Sometimes, of course, you're unable to continue if the car is just unable, but she's going to keep going, and I think I respect that tremendously, because it could be difficult and tough when you have 15 laps to go and incident occurs. So shout out to Kerry here for continuing her drive here in Phoenix.
Yeah, no, of course. Fun little thing. I figured out probably what that flag is. It's a rising sun flag with a Miata in the middle of it.
Ah, that makes sense. Not a waterproof flag. I am so sorry. I hope she laughs if she ever hears this. No one tell her that I said that. Oh, now we're getting a little bit of argy-bargy here between 61 and the 83, Athena and Emily.
Athena and Emily, the two of the leaders here. I mean, watch these two. These two are going to get very dicey.
Door to door. 14 laps
that was
to
a
go.
blink. Oof. That was a massive blink. What's happened to Emily? Emily's still there?
I'm not sure. She's dropping down the live timings fairly quickly. She's disconnected.
No. What's happened with Christina? Is Christina still going? Because that's weird. Because I know these two are in the same place as each other. Christina's still in, so it must have been a local-based issue.
Sucks. I just think locally, I know we should be professional, but that has to be rough. Oh gosh. We gotta shout out Emily towards the end here. She was doing, incredible.
Credit where credit is due. I mean, she had a good chance to win this race, but that is heartbreaking. I do genuinely feel for her. Oh, wow.
Oh, now we need a redemption tour in the next couple of races. Oh, we're gonna be looking out for Emily. She's coming at next race. Watch out, everyone.
Oh, don't. Yeah, she's already done it before. She has a history of doing it. She'll do it again. Just watch.
Your current podium right now with 11 laps to go. We have Athena Leclerc, Christina Ryan, and Callie Height kind of fighting for those remaining positions. The gaps, though, pretty big.
Of course. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see what happens. I think Athena Leclerc definitely has an opportunity here. Athena definitely has the advantage here. Christina Ryan is there and about, but it looks like, I'm looking at it from this perspective. It doesn't look like Garnet Adams and Sisha Fitzpatrick are that far off that third step of the podium. Mm-hmm. And that's going to be interesting because especially these two are teammates. They are potentially going to work together to try and bring themselves back in towards that contention. You can see Callie Height there passing the back. I think that's Yvonne Ufala that they're passing. Yep, that's Yvonne. So you can see just in front of Yvonne there, not quite on the screen, but just passing the screen there, that purple and pink car. That's going to be. That's of course going to be Callie Height. So the question here is, with how many laps to go, with 8 laps to go, is there a chance they can bring this gap down? Is there a chance that something happens like a safety car that completely bunches the pack back up and we could see a contest for the final spot on the podium?
I'm still upset for Emily. I'm just sitting here going, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Can you imagine the frustration she's feeling right now?
I can imagine. I know she's very competitive. So it would be, I know it would be very frustrating for her. Looks like she is possibly back. I'm just going to try and see out this race. I think Sish is going to make the move on Garnet. So looks interesting to see, though. A bit of a wiggle there.
Can she keep it there?
Oh, Callie's had a mistake. Callie's had a problem. Oh boy, and that's a yellow.
Bells. Oh, with 6 laps to go, we had a.
Oh no. Oh no.
5th yellow, in case anyone's counting.
That.
Again, out of Callie's control, nothing could have happened there.
I'm speechless. I am absolutely speechless.
What did we say about the end of the race? It was good. Something was going to go down. And this has now been Callie's race, as Chad is pointing out.
Well, yeah, this is going to be interesting now. We're going to start to see the strategy come in here.
I mentioned this very early on in the broadcast when it came to the strategy. Now, what's the question? Do you think you have enough time if you take 4 tyres? Do you think you have enough time to make up any time lost in the pit lane and make it through the field to pull off a win or to get a top 3 position and win a prize? That's going to be the question. Is 6 laps enough? Are you potentially going to get another safety car, which then brings out a green white checker?
As we find out, we do want to mention the prizes that our drivers are competing for here. Oh my gosh, sorry, we just got a production note. The leaders just did get a penalty for passing the pace car before we talk on it with our prizes. So, drama throughout the final laps of the race. Again, the leaders received a penalty for passing the pace car here unexpectedly. We are just seeing this all unfold in front of our eyes. And they quickly mentioned the prizes that they were competing for and that a podium contenders are receiving in first place. Oh my gosh, where'd the graphic go? So Rick, for the winner of the Screen to Speed International Wednesday race, followed up with second place getting a Sim Magic base and wheel provided by Extreme Sim Racing, and third gets the EK Fluid Gaming AIO. So getting a little bit of RBG in that computer, giving you maybe like 0.2 extra speed. It's a rumor on the street. I'm not sure if that's accurate, so no one quote me on that, but rumor on the street, or RGB makes you go faster.
Yeah, it increases your performance, makes games faster. Yeah, sounds about right.
But yeah, a lot of things unfolding here with Emily Howe disconnecting, crushing in the final. I think we had 17 laps to go when we saw that unfold. She's been holding up in the top 2 positions throughout the entire race and climbing back up the grid after a pit. And now we received word that the leaders received a penalty for passing the pace car.
And then you also don't
3 laps to go.
You also don't forget about Callie Height being involved in that incident, which took her out of 3rd place there, receiving damage as well. So, I mean, really anyone, the top 3 about 10 odd laps ago are no longer the top 3. And their positions have completely shifted because of 3 completely different issues that have impacted them. That's mad. Yeah, so it's going to be 2 laps left, and this will be a 2-lap sprint towards the end. Oh boy, this is going to be
198 laps
hectic.
Down.
Watch out!
2-lap sprint.
Watch out for the wave arounds here. So we're going to have Christina Ryan, who's going to lead the way. We're going to have Garnet Adams and Sish Fitzpatrick, who are going to be P2, P3. Watch out for Nina Hahn, of course, on the inside of that row behind as well in P5. And Belle Wells is there as well in number 11, another fast driver there. So this is going to be the dash for the prizes. This is the all-star race kind of excitement here. Who's going to win X amount of pounds or X amount of dollars, but aren't actually winning money? They're winning cool sim racing kit. As the pace car comes in,
I got nothing to say. I'm holding my breath.
Oh yeah, don't. We can't both hold our breath, otherwise we're not going to be able to commentate. And it is a female of colour leading the way. Okay, interesting.
Gosh.
So we're keeping an eye on this, and it looks like Garnet being
what a
absolutely
restart! 3 wide. What are we doing?
3 wide. Wow. Okay. So Athena's got to serve the penalty. So that happened. So Nina Hahn has just gone from P5 all the way up to P1. With 2 laps left to go, an incredible run here. Garnet has had a fantastic run. Tisha Fitzpatrick's going to try to make a move on the inside. White flag lap, and an incident in the background. There is not going to be a yellow flag here. It looks like Tisha Fitzpatrick might potentially have a move here. Is being bumped by Callie Height. Oh no!
Oh no!
Oh, I know that one's going to be debated. That one is going to be debated. Christina Ryan looks like is going to take that final position. It is Nina Hahn who's going to win, and is going to win the Sim Magic. It's going to win the rig, and if Garnet Adams wins a brand new servo, a Sim Magic servo, and of course an AIO will be going the way of Christina Ryan.
In a replay of the last 2 laps, what did I just see? What did we all just watch here?
I think
I think Saoirse Fitzpatrick was turned, but that is kind of the carnage that you get on the last lap of racing, especially in oval.
They've been holding out to pull out all the stops here in the final laps. They had a 2-lap shootout here, and they had to bring out every single thing. And we see those victory donuts from Nina Hine here. Oh, we love a good donut.
I mean, what else can you say? What else?
Give me a die cast of this winner. Come on.
Oh, you could probably order one. Going the wrong way up the pit lane.
Oh, that's a disqualification. Can you imagine?
Just driving back to the garage. Oh, it's the winner's circle. Oh, cool. I didn't know you could do that.
She feels right at home. She went directly to the winner's circle, and I love that. Congratulations to Nina, Garnett, and Christina for your podium. We are planning to interview them, so we're going to make sure we get them here into the interview booth of the Discord. However, we're going to let them celebrate for a little bit. Jamie, how do you feel with what just happened? Chat? How are we all doing? I did not expect that to end the way it did.
Yeah, I didn't either. I mean, maybe I should have. I was prepping myself for the potential that was going to be the case, but I assumed that, hey, you know, things have been really tame for the rest of the race, and I let my guard down. And I got caught out by it. But geez, that was an incredible couple of, lap sprint towards the very end. There was a little bit of everything, a little dip of everything. The penalty, of course, being served by Athena Leclerc. You, of course, had Nina Hahn going from 5th to 1st. You had Garnet Adams having a really good run, potentially putting under pressure. Of course, you had what looked like the chance for a prize for Christina completely dissipated with a move with Saoirse Fitzpatrick. Saoirse Fitzpatrick got an incredible launch up into P3, of course being bump drafted by Callie Height. I think potentially getting a little bit tangled up there, and then suddenly what was an amazing opportunity for Saoirse Fitzpatrick and a lost opportunity for Christina Ryan immediately bounced back to Christina. It's what else can you say? I mean, we
were talking earlier, right? You might be asking, who's going to win this race? Everyone's so strong. I mean, we thought Athena, we thought Emily, and then anything can happen, as we just saw, from variety of either disconnects or mechanical issues or someone else hitting the car and sending you into the wall. It could be a variety of things out of your control, which is why we love watching racing. I know some of our drivers right now probably aren't loving it, but I think the chat did.
No, of course. Well, I mean, we can get some interviews going at the moment.
Yeah, let's talk to our podium.
I think we'll start off with 3rd place. We'll start off with Christina Ryan. We'll, of course, get you answering some questions in a minute, Ash. But, Christina, 3rd place. How did that feel?
Congrats.
Thank you. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I'm a little bit bummed because I didn't know whether I could speed on the outside lane or not. The way that the restart thing was, I was really confused. I thought Athena had to go to the rear, or no, I didn't know she had to go to the rear, but I knew she had to serve a penalty, and it was telling me not to go any faster on the outside lane. So I was just trying to ride, and I guess I screwed up the restart, and it kind of, choked it away. So really upset about that, but we had a really good run. Came back from some problems early on, and we still got P3, so that's cool. Really happy, really thankful for everybody to support me and everything we pulled off today. But it was really tough. So
yeah, I mean, you did an incredible job. We were talking, right, commentating race of attrition, regardless of what is happening, things out of your control. And you do have, I'm not going to lie, Christina, I think you probably tonight had the most fans in the chat. So a lot of folks supporting you and cheering you on. And I mean, P3, nothing to scoff at. And you know what to take from this and get that P1 for the next couple of races. It's going to be incredible to watch.
Yeah. When I got the Fall Cup Championship, I think that proved a lot to myself that we can go win stuff. I'm glad we got the podium tonight. But yeah, honestly, it's everybody supporting me that keeps me doing this. There's a lot of times where I feel like I'm not good enough to keep doing this or shouldn't be doing this anymore or overstayed my welcome. So everybody cheering me on is definitely what keeps me going, and I really do appreciate it from the bottom of my heart. So yeah, big fans of my fans. So
Yep. Well, listen, of course, don't doubt yourself. I've seen you go from,
Incredible.
yeah, from kind of a new to incredible heights. So, there's still plenty there, and you're incredibly fast. Just don't let yourself deceive yourself. Don't deceive yourself into thinking that you're not.
appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Christina. Congratulations.
Thanks, you too.
Well, that was Christina Ryan. Yeah.
Oh, jinx. It's like we're both commentating.
Oh, no.
We should do this professionally.
Hello.
And that's Garnet.
Hello.
Hey, Garnet. How are we feeling? Great to win. How was that for you at the end there? The final 2 laps, that shootout. Everyone was kind of holding their breath here in chat in the commentary. Mostly me. Jamie was keeping it professional. I was holding my breath.
I am so excited. I was checking my heart rate monitor as soon as the race was over, and I was like, "Oh, 150. We're up there. We're real excited." That was so much fun. I was just sitting there talking to Nina about just the last few laps, our 3-wide moment in the pit lane, just all of it. I mean, it was such a dramatic race for me. Like, at one point, I was a lap down and not sure if I was going to be able to catch back up, and then people dropping out and speeding penalties and all that. It was just
crazy.
It was the peak of what you want to see in oval racing. I'm so happy to even have been a part of the race, and the prize on top of it. I'm so excited.
It's a great Friday for you is essentially what you're telling us right now. A great Friday night.
Yeah, basically.
Chat in here saying Garnetti Spaghetti. Would you mind telling us a little bit about the spaghetti part of the nickname here and where?
Yes. So one of my old coworkers, her name is Ham Clancy. She's a stand-up comedian. You can look her up on iHeartRadio. We used to work together at a restaurant for a brief period of time, and that was always her nickname for me, Garnetti Spaghetti. So everybody at that restaurant knows Garnetti Spaghetti. I currently work as a special education teacher, and it's gotten to the point where my students just call me Sketty. Like, it's a whole thing. So Garnetti Spaghetti, let's go!
And what are we going to expect from you moving on to the next couple of races? What did you learn here, and what are you hoping to take away and complete next, maybe, we'll say the year 2024. We'll keep it for a year.
Yeah, I mean, I really, really want to compete in the Coca-Cola eNASCAR series. That's kind of my end goal for iRacing, I suppose. Having a new wheel is really going to help me get there. I'm super excited about that. I think my biggest takeaway, my lesson that I learned from this race, my spotter and I were talking about it, so thank you, Willow, for spotting for me. We were just talking about, like, staying calm throughout the moments. Like, I was a lap down at one point, and I was stressed. How am I going to get back? And just taking my breath, staying calm, working my way forward. That was really the lesson of this race, because it paid off.
Sometimes all it takes is a little bit of luck going your way and keeping your head down, and that's, you end up with a massive bout of luck at the right time. And yeah, it was good to see you succeed, and I know you put in a lot of effort, so congratulations, and congrats on putting that on that car in P2.
Thank you so much.
Well, I guess before you go, don't, never mind. We will move on to. We'll bring her back. I was about to ask, is there anyone you want to thank?
Well, obviously my team, Prismatic Motorsports, Innit Esports, for setting all this up.
Wait a second. This is biased.
All the sponsors, of course, for all of the different Screen to Speed events. There's almost too many to name. My spotter, of course, Saoirse, just being a great teammate throughout the race, having someone to keep cool with through all the drama, and just everybody that made this possible. Thanks. I had so much fun.
So congratulations, and great to have you.
Thank you.
Of course.
That was really wholesome. I really enjoyed that. That was really sweet.
Yeah. I kind of forgot it with Christina. I kind of felt bad, and I had to ask a question. But of course, we've got the race winner. You've just won the Winter Cup.
Yeah.
At one point, and you've come to the International Women's Day race with a sim racing rig on the line, And now you've got a sim racing rig too. Congratulations.
Yeah.
How does that feel?
Amazing. Like, I'm so happy. It's like, I was really like a bit bummed out at some point when I was running in P6, and I thought like, the strategy didn't work. There's no way we're gonna get another caution. And then we got another caution, and the strategy worked, and it's so great. I'm so happy. This is more than I expected. My goal was a P3 kind of with Emily and Athena in there. So to get the win actually is really, really amazing.
Well, I mean, of course, sometimes I know I mentioned this to Garnet. Sometimes it's being in the right place at the right time and getting a little bit of luck. Of course, you know, Athena had to serve that penalty. Emily, of course, had that unfortunate dropout, and then suddenly, you know, you've just ended up in the perfect position that on that 2-lap sprint off the restart, you've got a chance to go and win the race. I mean,
yeah.
I guess when you were doing that lap, those that restart, you're about to restart, what was going through your mind at that moment?
Well, I was at first like, okay, I have new tires. I don't need fuel. I'm on the inside line, which is always good on this track. And I was like, okay, I just right off the start, be like absolutely focused, see when the leader is going, and absolutely foot down. And I almost lost it going down onto the apron. Like I had like a little snap, but held it together and just managed to get some time on them and was on the inside. And suddenly I was in P1. I was like, okay, well, I should be fine over like 2 laps or something with new tires. And then I crossed the finish line, and then only then it started to really set in that I won it.
I mean, what else can you say? It's honestly such a good feeling. I mean, you know, you've come into Screen to Speed as a whole, and you've been a real new face to this event. I mean, what else can you say? That must really put a cherry on top on top of your success in the Winter Cup.
Yeah, definitely. Like the Winter Cup was already great. I had so much fun, and winning it that closely was so cool, and was also kind of surprising. And then now here on the International Women's Day, winning this as well in such a cool race, it's just amazing. It's really, really undescribable, kind of.
We have a question from chat. Will you be able to sleep now with that W, or will you still be celebrating as the sun's coming up in Germany?
Oh no, I have to sleep. Like I slept earlier, and got up like 10 minutes before the session went live.
Oh my gosh.
And like I'm really stoked, and I'm still gonna have like 10 minutes or something, but then I'm gonna go back to bed. I have quite a few things to do on the weekend, so.
Well, I mean, congratulations. Is there anyone you want to thank before you go?
Yeah, well, of course, everyone who made this possible, Init Esports, all the sponsors who really put the prizes in, obviously my team, Olympus Esports, and all their sponsors. And yeah, and everyone who's watching this, thanks for watching, thanks for being a part of it, everybody else who was racing, and yeah, commentators, everyone who's part of this, thank you a lot.
Well, congratulations, Nina. It's been an absolute pleasure. And yep, fingers crossed we continue to see you in more Screen to Speed events.
I'm sure of that. Thank you.
Well, that of course was the end of the International Women's Day day race. Of course, 200 laps around the Phoenix Raceway, and it was Nina Hahn after a 2-lap sprint who would end up on top, with Garnet Adams only 4 tenths behind. Christina Ryan would finish off the podium in P3, Callie Height in P4 with Sisha Fitzpatrick in P5. Belle Wells would come home in P6. Athena Leclerc, after that, having to serve that late penalty that took her out of contention, would finish P7. Yvonne Hufela had a pretty good race in P8, considering Maren Edwards in P9, with Annalise Wright P10, and Amy Dilks P11. Of course, Emily Howe, after having that dropout, was in the contention for the race win. Unfortunately, that disconnection issue causing Emily to drop all the way back to P12. Charlotte Robertson will finish P13, with Kerry Anderson surviving and getting through and finishing P14. And of course, Jane Astra, after having a bit of an eventful early part of the race, ended up having to retire the car. and would finish as the final runner. Of course, get to talk about some of the other stuff I mentioned earlier. If you're interested in wanting to compete in future events, we had some coming up. Well, here is one of them, the Spring Cup. Of course, the superseding the Winter Cup that's just gone. We're of course going to have a 5-round series on, in this case, on iRacing, specifically at Virginia International Raceway, Scuba Circuit, Oran Park, Motorsport Arenas Oberschlen, and Okayama International Circuit. The dates on the screen are above. And I believe, I'm not sure if we have another one for Gran Turismo 7, possibly? Yes. And Gran Turismo 7, of course, if you're interested and you're not you're doing Gran Turismo 7, this will be done in tandem, of course, Circuit de Barcelona, Catalunya, Daytona International Speedway, the Autodromo de Carlos Pace, Jose Carlos Pace, the Autopolis International Racing Course, Suzuka International, rounding up all 5 rounds. So, if you want to take part in that, you can do so by specifically seeing if you qualify by going to the website www.screentospeed.com. Of course, there is a good amount of stuff coming around, and I mean, there's plenty of opportunities coming up. I know there's something else that Screen to Speed are interested in doing, racing in a pretty prominent series that I'm gonna just leave out there without any more context. I feel like I think that might suitably satisfy the crowd, but just
the mystery, yeah. But the driver announcement coming soon.
There's an announcement coming.
Keep your eyes peeled.
Exactly. Keep your eyes peeled on the Inner Esports social media pages. Might see a little bit more about a Screen to Speed dream team, but no more than that. So I guess beyond all of that, Ash, is there a part of this entire race which was your favorite?
Got all of it. The last 2 laps, I mean, we can't lie about that. That was pretty dramatic, and I did not see, I mean, those penalties coming when that yellow flag hit at lap 6 and whatnot. And I appreciated the straight running with no stages, kind of allowing those strategies and see what's happening at play. So congratulations to all of our drivers and, of course, our podium. But thank you, Inner Esports, for having myself and Jamie. Jamie, thank you so much for having me co-host here. You did an incredible job, and I hope I did you proud being your co-commentator. I really appreciate you having me here tonight. And yeah, I appreciate Screen to Speed for showcasing, of course, the commentators, because that's, of course, a job in motorsports and sim racing that you could have as well if you're a woman interested in sim racing. If you want to be a sim racer, if you want to own and co-own and be a team principal of an esports team, that is also an incredible option for you. And you have a lovely example here with Jamie and everyone in the chat. Thank you so much for watching and hanging out with us.
Well, I mean, thank you very much. And of course, massive thank you to Ash, absolutely taking some time away from a very busy schedule and ultimately being absolutely awesome, providing a ton of information and also a second set of eyes so she could answer all of your messages in chat and keep interacting. So thank you very much to Ash, and always more than welcome back if you ever decide you want to hop back in and do a little bit more commentary. But other than that, it has been an absolutely fantastic race. Of course, 200 laps around around Phoenix Raceway, and we got to see an incredible winner, but it's not a completely unknown winner. Of course, it was the winner of the Winter Cup series in iRacing, Nina Hahn, who will come home with a win. I want to say, obviously, a huge thank you to everyone that has watched, all of the staff and everyone that's been involved, specifically Mike Howe of AK Esports for doing the broadcasting, Sophia Romwen, of course, who was doing the race control, Yvonne Hufala, that was doing a lot of the community organization, Steffi Bao, the CEO of Any Esports, of course, Ash being my co-commentator tonight. I'm Jamie Jessica Martin. You have been watching the Screen Speed International Women's Race Day race, and we hope to see you again, fingers crossed, in a few weeks for the Spring Cup. Thank you very much, and good night.